Hi everyone, this is Epix911 and welcome to the Elitist Gamer. Today I'm going to talk about first edition Dungeons & Dragons. I've got a pretty big collection of D&D stuff going back to probably I was 9-10 years old. So my collection includes first edition, second edition, third edition, fourth edition, but I'm only going to focus on first edition because covering all of that in one video would probably be about 30-40 minutes. So let's get on it, shall we? First edition books. There were 2 covers, I believe, of the first edition Player's Handbook. And I had the first cover, but it was basically held together with duct tape and living on a wing and a prayer. So I ended up getting the second cover of the Player's Handbook, which is this one here. And that's the old hardcover book. You can see it's in really good shape, even though it's been through a lot of play sessions. That's the Player's Handbook First Edition. Most of the manuals actually for the first edition went through a couple of different covers. The Monster Manual, same thing. I've got the original Monster Manual cover for Advanced D&D. Right? That's the original, and also really good condition. Unearthed Arcana, or whatever the hell you pronounce. How do you pronounce that? Unearthed Arcana? I called it Arcana. So did my friends. So whatever. That's what I'm going with. So there's AD&D Unearthed Arcana. My good old Gygax. And I think most of you are going to agree. Let me know if you don't. The slide for first edition D&D was when they started coming out with the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, the Wilderness Survival Guide. And of course I bought into that hype. I didn't really enjoy them, but I did buy them. So there's the Wilderness Survival Guide, the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, the second cover of the Dungeon Master's Guide. What I loved about this one, and they brought it back, I think it was in 4th edition, but there's a section in the first edition D&D where you could do solo play. Now, obviously, D&D is a social game, but I thought it was pretty cool, and I actually used it, as well as the sample dungeon, that you could do. Here it is, the random play, and there's a series of tables and dungeon corridor. So you had a few different starting dungeon types. And you could basically roll passages and just kind of create them. It was almost like, I guess the equivalent would be playing a roguelike, really, because it was randomized procedural content, you know, through dice rolls, right? Die rolls. So, yeah, you could do solo play. Super geeky. What the fuck, right? Yes, I did it. A few times, actually. Quite a few times, because I would roll my own characters and then take them through random solo adventures. Monster Manual 2. I think this was, I'm pretty sure this was the only cover for it. I think when it came out, it just had this cover. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the only cover for it. My ultimate favorite, I realized also I got Deities and Demigods, but I think it's still downstairs, but my ultimate favorite was this one out of TSR UK, and that's the Fiend Folio Guide. This had the Drow Elf. Let's see if I'm right on that. Yep, and Lolth the Demon Queen. Let's see, Drow. Yep, there we are. Dark Elf. So Drist, who I used to call Drizzt, but Drist is the correct pronunciation. That character was based on the UK TSR Fiend Folio. And I think it came out in an addendum supplement before Fiend Folio, like a fan something or other. But again, I could be wrong. Some modules I wanted to show you guys. So these are the old first edition ones. This is the Forgotten Temple of Therisden, which was one of my favorite modules. AD&D. Massive module. This is kind of when TSR went on the whole bend of making these fucking massive monster adventure modules. This one is like 128 pages, and I think you know which one I'm going to bring up. And that's the original Temple of Elemental Evil, which was actually based on module, 2 modules, I think. Yeah, pretty sure, 2 modules. This was a basic AD&D module, but it was one that my buddies and I loved, and we played through this one a couple of times. This was B4, and you didn't need to do a lot to change the rules for between basic D&D and first edition. It was just, and most of us used house rules anyways for a lot of the combat, you know, critical result tables. So honestly, they made it seem like it was a big deal, but updating basic D&D to AD&D was just chump change. So this was the Lost City, one of my all-time favorite modules. Really, really good stuff. This was one where it kind of went a little crazy on this one. TSR, they did a kind of Alice in Wonderland. And there were 2 parts to this. Dungeonland 1, which is the one I have here, and Dungeonland 2, which I have in a box downstairs somewhere. Another one of my favorites, Dwellers of the Forbidden City. This was a really, really good module. This also, just as an aside, was something I'm not proud of, but when I was a kid, Christ, I would have been about 9, 10, I used to steal these from Woodward's. Woodward's was a department store here in Canada, and they used to have an awesome D&D section, and I was a poor bastard, and there's absolutely no fucking excuse for it, but I used to steal these, me and my buddies, stick them under our shirt, and then rip them open and collect them. Of course, I've since bought them all, so these are not the stolen ones. A lot of these were repurchased after the fact. The hardcover books are my originals, but a lot of these modules were bought off of eBay after the fact. Although, no, I shouldn't say that. Some of these are probably the original stolen ones, probably about a good 30-40%. So if anybody from Woodward's is watching, you're not getting these back. They're mine now. I paid for them. Blood, sweat, and tears, motherfuckers. So there you go. Ghost Tower of Inverness. Really, really good module. Loved it. Everybody's favorite. I don't have the originals for these, but this is G1, 2, and 3 Against the Giants. Fucking awesome. This was part of a triple trilogy. How would you say that? When you've got 3 trilogies that are linked together, or 2 trilogies, I think it was. Because it was Against the Giants, these 3, and then it was, if I'm right, it was D1 and D2, which is Descent into the Depths. This is, if you haven't seen these, or get your hand on these, I don't know if there's remakes of these, get them. Fucking fantastic. They're awesome. So it was D1 and D2 Descent, Vault of the Drow, or Drow, D3. Again, awesome module. My originals on this. And then one that I purchased off eBay, which... So 2 trilogies and a 4th. What the hell do you call that? Anyways, Queen of the Demon Web Pits, which I think concluded the trilogy. Or did I get that wrong? Was it Q1, Queen of the Demon Web, before you get to the D series? No, I think Queen of the Demon Web Pits concludes the series. Yes, of course it does. Been through it enough times. Mind you, that's like 30 years ago. 20-some odd years ago the last time. So there you go. That's my... well, a chunk of it. There's a lot more. I've got the original Rogues Gallery, which had your NPCs and names, and yeah, a shit ton more, but those are some of my favorite anyways. So let me know in the comments below if there's ones that you'd like to see again, or if you want me to go into a little more detail on any of these here. Happy and geeky to do so. So let me know. If there's ones that maybe I didn't show that you think should be shown, I probably have them. I'll bring them up. All right, cheers guys.